Welcome to this lesson where we will learn about the key principles of supplier relationship management. Once you fully master these principles, treading into the landscape of supplier relationships will be an easy task for you. By the end of this lesson, we'll also provide a basic template for categorizing your suppliers. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get right into it. As we now know, SRM is important in procurement. It is not a surprise that a lot of companies are adapting or improving it at the moment. Despite efforts to integrate or improve SRM, little to no effort is being put into these programs. So even if it's incorporated into your company, it cannot guarantee success when its principles are not fully understood. That's why learning the key principles is so critical. These will help you to envision what your responsibilities should be in managing supplier relationships and ensure that your procurement process is efficient, sustainable, and mutually beneficial for you and your suppliers. The first key principle is building collaborations. Remember that regarding SRM, collaborations are at the center of everything. However, collaborations cannot be made possible without focusing on relationships with your suppliers. This means that utmost importance must be placed on establishing relationships with your suppliers and then collaborating with them. The second key principle is having mutual trust and respect. In every relationship, the effort goes both ways. This includes trust and respect, which of course should also be mutual. It's quite easy to say that you trust and respect your suppliers, but what you must do is also show these things to them to create a more meaningful work relationship with your suppliers. There are quite a few ways to show and nurture mutual trust and respect with your suppliers. One approach is to engage with the suppliers and let them have the capacity to address their input properly. Like Japanese auto manufacturers Toyota and Honda consistently implement a deep supplier relationship based on mutual trust and respect with their suppliers. The results of such a relationship led to the mutual prosperity and improvement of both the parent companies and suppliers. Having trust and respect means that both you and your suppliers can work together towards setting goals on how to improve your business, which will lead to mutual benefits for both parties. The third key principle is keeping transparency and openness. To maintain and further improve the trust and respect between you and your suppliers, there must be transparency and openness. This is another way to build up and enhance healthy communication between you and your suppliers. Be clear with your objectives, communicate those, and be open to hearing suggestions from your suppliers to foster growth. In my period as procurement manager, I always try to be as open and transparent as possible towards my suppliers on the goals that my company, and thus I, needed to achieve. In sharing as much as possible, it helped me in building open relationships. The more I shared with my suppliers about what was important for me, the more open they will become to also share their needs and focus points. The better the trust gained by opening up, the better the relationships, which leads to understanding of our mutual goals, which led to better cooperation and in the end, very important, better financial deals. And in the end, that is important for every procurement manager, right? The fourth key principle is risk management. The onset of technology and globalization has led to new and dynamic changes. Operational activities such as sourcing, purchasing and delivery carry a risk that procurement teams must manage to lessen further disruptions. At this time, you and your suppliers need to work together to mitigate the risks. Both parties must be open to integrating exit strategies, evaluation strategies, and performance measurements as part of the risk management. The next key principle, which might be considered as an open door, is contract management. You must be ready to manage contracts while defining the key terms. This is also done to avoid misalignment in terms of definitions. You need to ensure that the contract has fair dealings and that you and your supplier reach the mutual agreement. You must also keep in mind to structure the terms and conditions properly so that you consider the requests of your team and your suppliers as well. The second to the last key principle is strategic segmentation and compatibility. Here, compatibility must be established through a common ground. This can include aligned objectives, ethical considerations, practices, mission and vision statements, as well as governance models. Achieving compatibility entails the process of supplier segmentation, which allows you to categorize your suppliers based on certain criteria. We will learn about the specific set of criteria later. The final key principle is utilizing technology and innovation. Technology is taking over the world of procurement and causing a lot of changes. Your role as procurement manager is to utilize existing technologies like ChatGPT and AI to make supplier segmentation, procurement cycles, and supplier evaluations easier for the benefit of both parties. This will allow you to focus on other matters that require greater focus, rather than on tasks that can be handled by technology. Now that the principles are discussed and out of the way, we're going back to the first principle, which is building collaborations. There's a trick to it, and we're going to teach you how. So, how do we build collaborations? Generally, the relationship between you and your supplier has to be beneficial for both sides, which means there should be an alignment with your suppliers in terms of goals, strategies, and assessments. This entails involving your supplier in your business processes and practicing healthy communication with them. Often, relationships with suppliers are disrupted due to misalignment, which has three drivers: different definitions, differences in data acquired, and different business motivators. As a procurement manager, you must bridge these gaps and find a way to address the differences in your data, definitions, and business motivators to ensure a smooth collaboration with your suppliers is happening. To do this, you will need to integrate a system where you can openly communicate and share data acquired with your suppliers. We have created a template where you can categorize each of your suppliers according to their level of importance based on the principle discussed, with 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. This way, you can thoroughly categorize your suppliers. And that concludes our lesson for today. In this lesson, you further solidified your understanding of supplier relationship management by learning the key principles. That's it for now. See you in the next lesson.